Have you ever gotten into a conversation with an anti-theist, especially on the topic of God's morality versus their understanding of objective morality? And we get into this whole matter of such things as God's sovereignty and why, because God is creator of the heavens and the earth and all that is in them, how that gives God the inherent right to control all his creation. So they like to reduce the argument down to this mind picture of God being a cruel dictator, and they like to go for the bullet point. Oh, so you're saying, quote, this is a quote now, might makes right, because God is stronger than us, because he's more powerful than us. He has the right to say what is right versus what is wrong. Well, first of all, God has that right because he is God. Not because he's more powerful in and of itself, but because he's God, because he is the sole creator of everything that is. Everything that is other than God is a derivative of his will. It is an expression of his will that only came into being because of his purpose for it to come into being, his willing it to be so, and his accomplishing it through his power. But the hypocrisy of that anti-theistic argument, and again I say the hypocrisy of that anti-theistic argument, is that the anti-theists otherwise love might makes right, and so does much of the atheist community. I say it again, whenever the anti-theists or a strong atheist accuse God of might makes right, and they shape it out to be something wrong with that, they are making a hypocritical argument. They are two-faced. You might say, how is that? Well, ask them, how in the world where there is no moral absolute, which would be God, they're claiming that there is no God, or if there is a God, they don't like him, particularly the true and living God, the God of the Bible. So you ask them how they account for their morality. What gives them the right to make decisions over other people? And they'll give you 9 times out of 10 or so, it seems, the answer of consensus. Consensus. Get that means to amass more than one person and in larger groups, a majority of people, to agree upon something, agree upon standards of what they consider socially acceptable versus socially unacceptable, and from out of that majority they make the laws, they govern. Now what happens if the minority does not agree with them and challenges them? There may be debate back and forth, but what happens? Ultimately, the majority wins, because the majority will eventually, by force, impose their will as the majority, and as having more numbers and, by extension, more power, more force, they will impose their will on the minority. And we even have that now form of government. And so it stands that to have this secular standard of objective morality or moral authority to give weight to what they in their godless society call right and wrong, they depend on the principle of might makes right. Numbers in force equals power. Power to wield over the minority, to make the minority do what they want. This is might makes right in a godless and secular model of society. So hypocrites, anti-theists, strong atheists, your hypocrisy has been exposed.